They call it a gift, a sixth sense, the ability to perceive what others cannot. Some say it's a blessing, a rare talent that connects us to the unseen world. They romanticize it, imagining it as a bridge to the afterlife, a way to communicate with lost loved ones. But for me, it's far from a gift. It's a curse that haunts my every waking moment. But for me, it's a curse, a relentless, unending nightmare that I can't escape from. Every shadow, every whisper, every fleeting glimpse of something not quite there sends chills down my spine. It's like living in a horror movie that never ends. I see dead people, always have, ever since I was a child. My earliest memories are filled with images of ghostly figures and eerie presences. I remember the cold, the fear, the sense of being watched by eyes that no one else could see. It was terrifying, and it still is. They're not always clear, mind you. Sometimes just fleeting shadows, whispers at the edge of my hearing. It's like they're just out of reach, teasing me with their presence. Other times they are as real as you and me, standing right in front of me, looking into my eyes. It's those moments that are the worst, when I can't tell the living from the dead. Other times they are as real as you and me. I can see the details of their faces, the clothes they wear, the expressions they carry. Some are sad, some are angry, and some are just lost. They reach out to me, trying to communicate, but I don't always understand what they want. It's like they're trapped in a different world, and I'm the only one who can see them. I remember the first time I saw one. I was 5, playing in my room. It was a sunny afternoon, and I was lost in my own little world, surrounded by toys and imagination. Then, out of nowhere, she appeared. A woman in a white dress stood by my window. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow. She looked so sad, so lost, and I could feel her pain as if it were my own. A woman in a white dress stood by my window. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow. She didn't speak, but her sadness washed over me like a tidal wave. I felt her sorrow deep in my bones, and it was overwhelming. I didn't know what to do, so I ran to my mother, hoping she could make it all go away. She didn't speak, but her sadness washed over me like a tidal wave. It was as if her emotions were my own and I couldn't escape them. I ran to my mother, terrified, but she just smiled and told me I had an overactive imagination. I knew better. I knew what I saw was real, and that was the moment I realized I was different. I ran to my mother, terrified, but she just smiled and told me I had an overactive imagination. I knew better. I knew what I saw was real. That was the beginning of my journey. A journey filled with fear, confusion, and a sense of isolation. I learned to keep my experiences to myself, to hide my fear, and to pretend that everything was normal. But deep down, I knew that my life would never be the same. Growing up was a nightmare. The spirits followed me everywhere. School, the playground, even my own home. I'd see them lurking in corners, their faces contorted in silent screams. I'd hear their whispers in the dead of night, chilling me to the bone. I tried to ignore them, pretend they weren't there, but it was no use. They were always there, a constant reminder of the unseen world that existed alongside our own. My childhood was stolen, replaced with fear and uncertainty. I became withdrawn, afraid to connect with others lest they discover my secret. As I grew older, the whispers grew stronger, more insistent. They weren't just random apparitions anymore, they wanted something from me. They would tell me their stories, tales of tragedy and loss, begging me to help them find peace. I didn't know how to help them. I was just a kid, then a teenager, grappling with my own anxieties and insecurities. Their pain became my burden, an invisible weight I carried on my shoulders. I felt like a conduit, a bridge between the living and the dead, and it terrified me. University was supposed to be a fresh start, a place where I could redefine who I was, away from the prying eyes and whispers of my hometown. I had dreams of blending in, of becoming just another face in the crowd, a chance to reinvent myself, leave the ghosts of my past behind. But they followed me. No matter how fast I walked or how many times I changed my route, they were always there, lurking in the periphery of my vision. They were in the crowded lecture halls, the bustling cafeteria, even the quiet library. Every corner of the campus seemed to be haunted by these spectral figures, their presence a constant reminder of the life I was trying to escape. I tried to focus on my studies, on making friends, on immersing myself in the vibrant campus life. I joined clubs, attended events, and even tried out for the university play, on living a normal life. I wanted to be like everyone else, carefree and full of dreams. But the spirits were always there, a constant distraction, a chilling reminder that I was different. They whispered in my ear during lectures, their cold breath sending shivers down my spine. They hovered over my shoulder in the cafeteria, their ghostly fingers brushing against my skin. They lurked in the shadows of the library, their eyes watching my every move. I learned to mask my fear, to put on a brave face. I became an expert at pretending, at convincing everyone around me that I was just another student, stressed about exams and assignments. I learned to mask my fear, to pretend I didn't see the dead man sitting in the corner of the classroom, or the young woman crying in the library stacks. I became adept at hiding my true feelings, at burying my terror deep inside. To pretend I didn't see the dead man sitting in the corner of the classroom, his eyes hollow and accusing, or the young woman crying in the library stacks, her sobs echoing in the silence. Or the young woman crying in the library stacks, but inside, I was crumbling. The weight of my secret, the constant presence of the spirits, it was all too much to bear. But inside, I was crumbling. Every day was a battle, a struggle to maintain my composure, to keep my sanity intact. The ghosts of my past were relentless, and I feared that one day, they would consume me entirely. Then came Nut, a bright light in the darkness. She was my first real friend, someone who saw past my anxieties, who embraced my quirks. For the first time in my life I felt seen, accepted. But my happiness was short-lived. A drunk driver, a hit and run. Nut was gone. I was devastated. The world went numb. I couldn't believe she was gone. Not Nut, not like this. The funeral was held on a dreary, overcast day. The air was thick with grief, the silence broken only by the sobs of Nut's family and friends. I stood there numb, staring at her coffin. I couldn't bring myself to say goodbye. As the priest began to speak, I felt a cold hand grip my arm. I turned to see Nut standing beside me. Her face was pale, her eyes filled with sadness. She reached out to me, her touch icy cold. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice a mournful echo. "Help me." Panic surged through me. I wasn't just seeing random spirits anymore. It was Nut, and she was trapped. And she wasn't alone. The veil between the worlds had thinned. The cemetery was swarming with them, drawn to the grief and despair. They pressed in on me, their icy fingers brushing my skin, their voices a cacophony of whispers and moans. Their stories washed over me, tales of pain, loss, and unfinished business. Each one wanted my attention, my help. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I stumbled back, desperate to escape the onslaught, but there was nowhere to go. They were everywhere. Their icy grip tightened around my soul, dragging me down into their world of shadows and sorrow. I wanted to scream, to run, but I was frozen in place, paralyzed by fear. Nut's face swam before me, her eyes pleading, her voice a desperate whisper. "Don't leave me here," she begged, her cold hand clutching at my arm. "Please don't leave me." But I couldn't stay. I couldn't bear the weight of their sorrow, the intensity of their despair. I tore myself away and ran. I ran until I collapsed, gasping for breath, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. The darkness around me seemed to close in, suffocating and relentless. Every shadow felt alive, every rustle of leaves a whisper of the spirits that pursued me. My body trembling uncontrollably, I could feel the cold grip of fear tightening around my heart. The spirits may not have followed me physically, but their presence was undeniable. It was as if they had seeped into my very soul, their sorrow and anguish becoming a part of me. I knew they would never truly leave me. They were a part of me now, an inescapable shadow that loomed over every moment of my life. Their whispers echoed in my mind, a constant reminder of the thin veil that separates the living from the dead. Their sorrow woven into the fabric of my being. I live with the constant awareness of their presence. Every waking moment is tinged with their grief, every dream a nightmare of their tormented faces. I am different now, marked by their touch, cursed with a gift I never wanted. Peace is a distant memory, replaced by the chilling certainty that I can never escape the spirits. They are my curse, my constant companions. Their whispers are a haunting lullaby, a reminder of the darkness that lies just beyond the veil of reality. I am forever haunted, trapped in a world where the living and the dead coexist in a fragile balance. The spirits are always there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the moment when I let my guard down. They are my curse, my burden, and my constant reminder of the thin line that separates life from death. My constant companions, a haunting reminder of the thin veil that separates the living from the dead. I am forever haunted, forever marked by the spirits that have claimed a part of my soul. Their presence is a shadow that will never fade, a reminder of the darkness that lies just beyond the edge of